So after awakening, we can get into this thing that I like to call emotional bypassing. We wake up, oh, there's no self, there's no one here, there's nothing to do anything, right? And this can get into a very dangerous place, you could say. A not fun place, definitely not full, not complete, not whole. A lack of happiness, love and peace and freedom. So if it feels dry, if it feels like empty and dry, if that's your experience, it's just empty, it's dry, it's lifeless, then there's a good chance that you might be bypassing the emotional side of things. You might be what I call rejecting your humanity, the human experience. You might be resisting the human experience. The human experience is feeling emotions. And there's more to the human experience than that, obviously, but it's part of the human experience, which is feeling emotions. So to have this kind of, it's more of an attitude, actually, to have this kind of attitude, right? That there's no one here, there's nothing to do. Who would do it, right? Who's having these emotions? There's nobody here to have these emotions. You get into this spiritual bypass, this emotional bypass that really cuts you off from the happiness, the love, the peace, the freedom. It really does. Because you're not open to experiencing all emotions. And as long as you're not open to experience all of the emotions, then you're creating the resistance of the heavy emotions, the uncomfortable emotions. And you're also clinging to the good emotions, the positive vibes only, right? So that can create a very sticky situation for someone, because, okay, you had a little bit of an awakening, you got a glimpse, but what about the rest of your life? Well, what's going on, right? What happens? Oh, there's no one here. There's no point to feel these emotions. I don't need to feel these emotions because there's nobody here, right? Where it's like a double negative kind of thing, because there's obviously the emotions there, and then there's like someone that's saying that there's no one here to experience the emotions, where it's very much like an in denial, bury the head in the sand kind of thing, pretend like they're not there, right? Which, I get it. It's these type of, bypassing experiences can arise really from not having the clarity. So without the clarity, there's distortion. So we distort our things. And when there's distortion, there's still illusion. There's still delusion. Right? It's like the ego is still very much intact where it's deluding itself, kind of thing. Right? Where it's pretending that there's no emotions here when there's clearly emotions, and there's clearly still, someone getting hurt, someone who's hurt. There's clearly emotions that are sticking, experiences that are sticking to you. Because if you're fully open, then you're fully open to experiencing all emotions, right? You're open like the sky, whatever clouds. But in this situation, it's kind of like, I'll accept the nice white fluffy clouds but not the dark storm clouds. Those ones, they gotta go, right? So you're not open like the sky. You're closing part of yourself off. You're not accepting. You're rejecting. You're not allowing. You're resisting, right? And it could be coming from, again, lack of clarity. Also, fear. Because why? It's when there's fear, when there's delusion, what we do is we kind of like use like something else, like, this non-dual understanding to kind of like protect, to kind of like lean on and support. It becomes like another belief system, another support to support an illusion, right? The illusion that's held together by lies. And then they're empowered by believing in it and not actually questioning. Why is this emotion actually popping up? Right? Why does it keep on recurring? Why am I trying to run away from it? Right? Because you could just like have the glimpse of an awakening, but it's not 24/7. Right? You're not fully conscious 24/7. And what I'm talking about is this kind of underlying fear and the denial and the resistance and the rejection could be very much still unconscious, that you might not be seeing because you might still be lacking the clarity, the vision to see clearly that comes with full consciousness, that you'd see it. So there still needs more opening, right? More opening into full consciousness, more acceptance. Could be like, I'm accepting like 80%, but might still be certain things that you're rejecting, because obviously you're rejecting, because there would be no denial, right? So it's not that scary. It's actually, when you look at it, the other side that you wouldn't be experiencing is feeling things fully, is feeling the fullness of life, is to put yourself into something totally and experience like the range of emotions. And now, because of this expansion, it's like you can feel the intensity of the emotions much more. Perhaps before awakening, you could say that maybe there's always like some feelings that you didn't want to feel. Certain feelings that we kind of we don't really want to lose ourselves in the feeling, just totally become the feeling, experience the totality, the intensity of the emotion, right? You say there's emotions, but then it's like almost like how much of that emotion do you want to feel? So I want to feel as much happiness as possible, but the sadness, the sadness can I got a taste. I don't like it. It's like, no, it's kind of like you go full out. You go full out for all of them because it's the totality, the fullness, the wholeness. You feel the feeling, like the wholeness of the feeling, not just a part of it, not just a taste of it. Which then that's what I'm saying is when you bypass, it can be very like lifeless, dry, denial. You're denying the human experience still. You're rejecting part of the human experience, which would be feeling emotions. You got to go into this. Go into the emotions, go into why would you be denying it? Why would you be afraid of it? Right? Because when you see it's still, like I've said in a couple of these videos, pointing this out, it's almost like we can see, use like the ego kind of perspective, like this immature ego, right? Little kids, still adults for the most part, immature ego, right? And in some, it's more of the ego is immature, then it matures. It's kind of like, just as like to explain it, maybe it's not like this, but it just kind of appears to be like this, that after awakening, it's almost like there's still a immaturity of see, this is where the words are going to be bad, but just for the sake of explaining it, it's kind of like the immaturity of the spirit, you can say. It wouldn't make sense, but let's just use it to play around with it. There's the immaturity of the ego, and the ego then matures, right? If you get the glimpse, or if you try and get like an understanding, and even worse, if you just try and believe in some sort of non-dual teaching and just kind of believe your way there, it's gonna put you in this weird place where you're denying certain things and then believing in something else, right? So it could be that you either have had an experience, have had a taste of it, a satori or a glimpse, whatever you want to call it. But then it's like it's still immature. And it becomes more mature, just like anything, with more responsibility. Right? So it's irresponsible to reject feelings that you're feeling, but then you're kind of leaning on the non-dual teaching of no one here and nothing to do, right? Shadow work, healing, emotional stuff, yuck. No one here to do that, right? Whereas like that sounds like denial. It sounds like you're running from your feelings still. It sounds like, oh, and there's suffering still? Well, there's clearly something still going on that's unresolved. Right? So it's nothing to be afraid of. It's actually, like I said, this expansion gives you the capacity to then feel the spectrum of the feelings, the spectrum of the emotions, right? The energy and motions, right? The energy and motion, it allows you to then feel that experience, that spectrum, as well as it allows you to experience the intensity of that energy. Which then there's it's so alive, it's so, It's the completeness. It's the wholeness. Whatever it is, the grief, you just go into it. Right? You just go into it. And it's to experience that fully. Whereas you look at a lot of people, they're not mature to handle that grief. They don't want to touch it with a stick. They're denying that there is the grief. They don't want to feel the loss. Let me just feel this loss. Right? Just become it. You're feeling it fully. It's a full human experience, not this half experience. You just feel good emotions when they pop up, and the bad emotions, I don't want to come again later. I don't want to deal with you now. It's not a full experience, right? It's about embracing, accepting your humanity, the human experience. How could you deny it? It's still, it's not like you've left the body. See you later, right? There's still very much this embodiment that's here. So you might as well get the full experience, right? It's like, what are you going to do? You're going to walk out at halfway through the movie, right? Or you want the full experience. you want, right? It's like, see you later. No one here, nothing to do. I'm out of here, right? And you just walk out. It's like you're dreaming that you walked out because you're still in the chair with your eyes closed, right? Yeah, maybe another rough analogy to explain, but you get what I'm kind of pointing at. There's clearly a body still here, and there's clearly emotions that are being felt. And only you would know, but if there is suffering, then you know it. You know it at your core that there is. And you know that if you know that you're getting triggered still, then you know that there's something that's unseen, that has not been seen, that has not been loved. Right? Because once you see it and you feel it, well, that's how you heal it. And what heals is love. Love heals. Right? So it's one of those things where, yeah, it's like you can kind of, they call it a bypass, right? You can bypass, here's all the trauma work that needs to be done. Here's all the feelings, the yucky, gross feelings that no one wants to deal with. And it's like, oh, shortcut. Oh, oneness, no self, like all these other things. But it's kind of like, yeah, well, you're going to have to still feel that because you're going to still have to resolve all of that other stuff. You can't bypass it. I mean, you can, but I'm telling you, it's part of the whole journey. It's part of the experience. It's like you can and you can't. You can, but it's going to feel like this. The human experience is dry, lifeless, right? You're not feeling the wholeness of it, the completeness, the aliveness, right? One, it's like, bite something that's like, this is dry. It's like, it's missing something. You want to like add something to it, right? It's kind of missing something. I need more sauce on this thing, right? Whereas the other experience, it's juicy. Every bite is just so satisfying. It's so complete, right? It's so balanced, right? You have those foods with like something. Maybe you are really good at cooking, or someone they know it's the balance. It's all the flavors, right? It's so complete. Everything is complementing each other, right? Everything is interconnected and interdependent on each other in whatever it is that I'm eating here, right? But it's so satisfying. It's so satisfying because it's so complete, so juicy, right? And that's what you can say is, one, you bypass, it's going to be dry. It's going to be dry. You're not going to be feeling that the bliss, the happiness, the love, the peace just well up. You're not going to be feeling that. You're not going to feel like it's always there. It's just there. And it permeates. That's what I'm saying is you're not going to have that juiciness that just permeates everything in your experience that's there. You're not going to be absorbed in it, which is very much why it could be a very clear sign that there's the bypass. Because if you're clinging to a memory, then it's not here now. It's not here now, right? This peace, it's here now, right? It's here now. Feel it. I'll just sit still. Right? It's here. The happiness, it's here. Right? Just be open. Feel it. Like I said, it's permeating. You're just immersed in it. And that then permeates the experience, and you're feeling it all the time, right? And then you're sharing that with others. You're sharing that with others, and you're right. So it's different. It's different. The human experience is transformed. It's like first, like you're looking for all those things. You're looking for the happiness, the love, the peace, the freedom, and then after, it's now about living as that. It's about sharing that with others. It's about that openness to experience everything. But if it feels like things are, like that person said this thing that kind of really ticked me off, and it like sticks to you, it's like there's something in you that it's sticking to, right? Otherwise it wouldn't stick, right? It would just pass through you, right? So the experience after is, yes, as well as that these emotions are just welling up, and they're way more intense and total and complete because you're not resisting them at all. It's like you're welcoming them. You're welcoming them. Well, I can't speak. You're welcoming them warmly. You're like inviting them, right? On one side with the bypass, it's like, go away, we're not home, right? The feelings come knocking, go away, we're not home, no solicitors, right? Whereas the other one, the door is always open, and it's just kind of, come on, right? Whereas before you might have, come on, is it just only one person in? Now it's like, bring everyone you know. It's a party. So you want the intensity. You want the fullness. How many people can we get in my house, right? It's the fullness of it. You look forward to it. Good or bad, you look forward to it. Because then that's in that state of, which is not a state. It's just, I don't know why we call it a state. It's not a state because it's your true nature. It doesn't come and go, right? Everything else is coming and going, right? So it's like, bring it. Bring it. Whereas if you're still resisting, then obviously there's still something going on that you don't want to handle, you don't want to deal with, right? You can't be fully open. Because if you're fully open, then it's whatever, anything's coming, right? Anything's coming and going. And because you're fully open, right? Like I said, is like the ego is kind of like a fist, and then it kind of opens like this, you could say, or like it's like consciousness, opening, right? But in the ego state and full consciousness, it's like nothing sticks, right? But it's kind of like there's still probably contraction if something's in the way. It's like consciousness kind of, for lack of better words, it contracts. And when it's contracting, maybe around certain people, it's getting hit. Something's getting in the way. This emotion, and it's sticking. Versus if it's fully open, emotion, right? And there's whatever, something's getting, you're pushing my buttons. Yeah, what's that button, right? Because in full consciousness, there's no buttons to be pushed, right? You've looked into it. You've looked into that, right? Where there's no buttons anymore. Someone can't push your buttons, right? Because there's no buttons to be pushed, right? And whatever's kind of coming, it just doesn't stick. It's like nothing lands, nothing sticks, right? Because it's this full openness. It's not to say you get walked over, but it's like you can still, whatever it is, tell someone not to do something or whatever it is going on in whatever relationship or environment that you're in. But you do that from a place of openness. And it doesn't stick. It's like literally whatever you say, you're still not like worked up about it. You don't have this like memory of it. It's like nothing lingers. It's like there's no past. Whatever happened, because you're fully present, fully open. So, like I said at the start, is if it feels like it's dry and you're kind of like missing like this, I'm missing that bliss. I'm missing, right? No one here, no one, right? It's a sign. It's a sign that's, again, it could be something that whereas very intellectual, a very intellectual understanding where it's like too heady, too much there, and it's like it's dry because you haven't dropped down into the heart where it's wet, right? Full of the emotion, right? Full of the emotion. And that's what that understanding is, with the emotion, that it's like it's complete. It's feeling more complete. And then the experience is, it's juicy, it's fulfilling every moment. There's nothing to resist, nothing to reject, nothing to deny, right? So it's one of those things where I'm seeing that there's more and more of it kind of popping up. And if it does feel like that, then question, because no one wants a dry experience of life, right? And if it's feeling that way, I'm just pointing out that there might have been a little bit of a bypass. So to kind of, look at what you kind of walked around, right? Just kind of shining the light. You kind of miss some steps back there, right? But if you're afraid to look at it, if you're afraid to experience that part of the journey, then that's kind of living that dry kind of life it's kind of like a consequence for it, right? So hopefully this helps. And if you need some help with that, I have uploaded quite a few videos on feelings and trauma and opening the heart and forgiveness, a bunch of different stuff. So you can check them out, and hopefully that helps. I'll see you in the next one.